Before you spend another Washington quarter, take a closer look at the date, mint mark, and overall condition. The smallest detail on a 25-cent coin can separate ordinary pocket change from a rare collectible worth hundreds, thousands, or in exceptional cases, far more at auction. Today, we're counting down 4 remarkable Washington quarter dollars that every collector should know about. These quarters may look ordinary at first glance, but certain rare dates, low mintage issues, silver varieties, striking errors, and exceptional conditions have made some examples highly valuable to collectors. A tiny mint mark, an unusual error, or a sharply preserved design can make a major difference in a coin's collector value. You'll learn what to check on each quarter, what details make certain examples special, and what beginners often mistake for a valuable error. Remember, not every old quarter is rare, and not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Condition, authenticity, variety, and professional grading can all play an important role in determining what a coin is actually worth. So before you spend another old quarter, inspect it carefully. Check the date, look for the mint mark, examine the edge, and pay attention to anything unusual about the design or strike. One small detail could be the difference between an ordinary 25-cent coin and a remarkable collector's discovery. Stay with us until the end, because the number 1 Washington quarter on today's list is the most fascinating of them all, with a story and rarity that have captured the attention of collectors for generations. Now let's begin the countdown with coin number 4. The 1981 D Washington quarter, the $1,350 plus clad treasure hiding in your pocket change. Imagine holding a single quarter in your hand, a coin so ordinary looking that most people would spend it without a second thought. But what if that small copper nickel coin could be worth over $1,000? What if it has been sitting in your grandfather's old collection, a forgotten coin jar, or even in the change you received at the grocery store this morning? You are about to discover everything about the 1981 D Washington quarter, a coin that could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize its true value. Today, you will never overlook a Washington quarter again. Let us travel back to 1981. Ronald Reagan is in the White House. The Cold War is intensifying, and at the Denver Mint, over 575 million quarters are being struck featuring the iconic portrait of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, a sculptor who created a lasting tribute to America's first president, these coins would go on to pass through millions of hands. The composition of this coin is 75% copper and 25% nickel over pure copper core, weighing 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a reeded edge. But here is where things get interesting. The 1981 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and the D mint mark is located to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. And this tiny detail could change everything. Because while over 575 million were struck in Denver, finding one that has survived in pristine condition with exceptional eye appeal is like finding a needle in a haystack. Little did anyone know that tucked among these ordinary pieces of clad metal were treasures that would one day be worth a small fortune. Here is where things get interesting. The 1981 D Washington quarter is a masterpiece on both sides. On the obverse, you will see the distinguished portrait of George Washington facing left, with Liberty inscribed at the top and the motto "In God We Trust" to the left of his neck. The date 1981 appears at the bottom, and here is the crucial detail. Look closely to the right of Washington's hair ribbon for a tiny D mint mark. That small letter tells you this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now flip it over, and you will witness something breathtaking. The reverse features a powerful eagle with wings fully extended, clutching a bundle of arrows, with the words United States of America at the top and $quarter at the bottom. Every detail of this coin tells a story of American strength and unity. The Washington Quarter series had been running since 1932, and the 1981 issue represents the modern-clad era of this iconic series. Most people never notice this, but the real magic of the 1981 D quarter lies in its condition and its fascinating era varieties. You see, While over 575 million were struck in Denver, finding one that has survived in pristine condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Coins were lost, melted down, or worn smooth from decades of circulation. The 1981 D Washington quarter is a common date in the series. Only in MS-66 condition is it somewhat scarce. In MS-67 condition, there are only a few dozen graded examples confirmed. Anything grading higher than MS-67 should be graded, as it is a tough coin in this condition. This tiny detail could change everything. In circulated condition, a worn example is only worth face value. In uncirculated condition, the value begins to climb. At MS-65, a 1981 D can be worth around $1 to $5. At MS-66, values reach approximately $10 to $20. At MS-67, the value jumps significantly to $100 to $200. But the truly spectacular examples, graded MS-67 or higher with exceptional eye appeal, are the ones that make history. But wait, it gets even more exciting. Among those millions of quarters, some were struck with errors that make them incredibly desirable. The most famous is the 1981 D drilled mint mark error, where the D appears to have a small hole or indentation, creating a fascinating variety. There is also the 1981 D doubled die obverse, DDO, where the design shows noticeable doubling visible on the date and lettering. What happened next shocked collectors. These imperfections that were once considered mistakes are now fascinating varieties that collectors actively search for. The 1981 D is also known for repunched mintmark varieties and strike-through grease errors where parts of the design are missing. The 1981 D quarter is also available in proof and silver-proof versions, adding to the excitement for serious collectors. The value of a regular 1981 D quarter ranges dramatically based on its condition and error status. In circulated condition, a worn example is only worth face value. In uncirculated condition, the value begins to climb. At MS-65, a 1981 D can be worth around $1 to $5. At MS-66, values reach approximately $10 to $20. At MS-67, the value jumps significantly to $100 to $200. But the truly spectacular examples, graded MS-67 or higher with exceptional eye appeal, are the ones that make history. The value may leave you speechless. The highest recorded auction sale for a 1981 D Washington quarter reached an astonishing $1,350 for an MS-68 example. An MS-67 example has sold for $600 at auction. A 1981 D in MS-67 condition has sold for $312 at auction. Think about that for a moment. A single quarter, a coin that cost 25 cents to produce, sold for over $1,000 at auction. The 1981 D doubled die obverse in MS-67 condition has also been valued at up to $500, making it a highly desirable variety for serious collectors. Collectors search for this coin because it represents a pivotal era in American numismatics, following the transition from silver to copper-nickel-clad compositions. The 1981 D Washington quarter is a key date that remains a cornerstone for registry set collectors seeking exceptional eye appeal and technical preservation from the clad era. The 1981 D quarter is also significant because it was struck at the Denver Mint, which had been producing quarters since 1968. The pursuit of coins, like the 1981 D in MS-68 condition, is what drives series specialists and registry set collectors, making the competition for these top-grade examples fierce. The 1981 D quarter is also part of the last year of the original Washington quarter design, before the 50-state quarters program began in 1999, adding to its historical significance. So before you dismiss any old quarter, take a closer look. Grab a magnifying glass. First, check for the D mint mark to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. It must be there. Next, examine the condition. Is it worn smooth on Washington's hair and cheek, or does it look like it just left the mint? Are all the details sharp and crisp? Look closely for any doubling on the date and lettering, or a drilled appearance in the mint mark. A true DDO will show clean, crisp doubling with visible space between the two impressions. These subtle differences are the key to unlocking its true value. Hidden details most people miss, like a doubled die obverse, a drilled mint mark, or a perfect uncirculated strike, are exactly what can turn a quarter into a payday. And I need you to remember this crucial warning. Do not clean your coin. Cleaning a coin can reduce its value by 90% or more. Leave it exactly as it is, handle it by the edges, and protect it in a soft sleeve. That gentle cleaning could be the biggest mistake you will ever make. Also beware of common mistakes. Machine doubling, MD, is a common fake-out that produces a flat, shelf-like shift, not a rounded doubling. If you find a coin that seems too good to be true, have it professionally authenticated by PCGS or NGC before celebrating. Third-party grading remains the most reliable method for verifying authenticity and assigning the grade that determines value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible world of coin collecting, please hit that like button and subscribe. The next coin I am about to reveal could be even more shocking, a coin that could change your life forever. Imagine a quarter from the same era with an era so rare and distinctive that it sold for over $100,000. But that is a story for another time. Until then, start checking your change, your coin jars, your old collections, and your inherited albums. You might be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand, and that fortune could be hiding in a 1981 D Washington quarter. Next up. Imagine this. You are holding a coin in your hand, a seemingly ordinary quarter that you probably got as change from a coffee shop, or maybe it has been sitting inside an old jar on your shelf for years. You have probably never given it a second thought. But what if I told you that this specific coin, this 1985 Washington quarter with a tiny D mint mark, could be the key to a life-changing fortune? What if the difference between 25 cents and a payday that could buy you a brand new car, pay off your student loans, or even secure your family's future is hiding in plain sight, right under your nose? Now we are going on a treasure hunt. We are diving deep into the world of the 1985 D Washington quarter, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to be scrambling to check every single coin in your possession. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, because I know exactly what you are thinking. You have probably heard that old quarters are made of silver and that they are worth a fortune. Well, here is where things get interesting. The 1985 D Washington quarter is not made of silver. I know, it sounds like a letdown, but stay with me because this is where the real story begins. See, the US Mint switched from 90% silver to copper-nickel-clad composition in 1965. So by the time 1985 rolled around, these quarters were being struck from a composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. They weigh about 5.67 grams and measure 24.3 millimeters in diameter. But here's the secret that most people never notice. The absence of silver is exactly what makes certain versions of this coin so incredibly valuable. Because when a coin is supposed to be made of one thing and ends up being made of something else, that is when the magic happens. That is when we start talking about numbers that will make your head spin. Let's set the scene. The year is 1985. Ronald Reagan is in the White House. Back to the Future is dominating the box office, and the Denver Mint is churning out Washington quarters by the hundreds of millions. In fact, the Denver Mint produced a staggering 519,962,888 of these quarters in 1985. That is over 500 million coins. So why on earth would anyone care about one specific coin among 500 million? Because buried in that massive sea of ordinary pocket change are a few extraordinary coins that escape the mint with mistakes that turn them into treasures. The obverse of this coin features the iconic left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. You will see the word Liberty arching across the top and the date, 1985, centered at the bottom. If you look closely to the right of Washington's hair ribbon, you will find the small but mighty D Mint mark, the signature of the Denver Mint. The reverse showcases a majestic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it, a design that has symbolized American strength and peace for generations. But here is the million-dollar question. What makes one of these 500 million coins worth a fortune while its twin brother is only worth 25 cents? This is where the suspense really kicks in. The value of the 1985 D Washington quarter exists on a spectrum, and it all comes down to two things: condition and errors. A regular, circulated 1985 D quarter is worth exactly 25 cents. You can spend it at the vending machine and nobody would blink an eye. But push that coin into uncirculated, mint-state condition and the numbers start to climb. An MS-65 example might fetch around $16. An MS-66 can bring in about $38. But then, something incredible happens. At MS-67, the value jumps to around $525, and if you are lucky enough to find an MS-67 plus specimen, that is where we enter five-figure territory. A PCGS-graded MS-67 plus 1985 D Washington quarter sold at auction for an astonishing $3,377.25. Think about that. A coin that was minted alongside 500 million others, a coin that could have been in your pocket this morning, sold for over $3,000 simply because it was in exceptional condition. But hold on to your seats because we are just getting warmed up. Now let's talk about the real game changers, the errors. Most people never notice these, but the minting process is not perfect. Sometimes the dies are misaligned, the planchets are wrong, or the striking pressure is off. And when these mistakes happen, they create coins that collectors will pay a premium for. One of the most celebrated errors on the 1985 Washington quarter is the double die obverse, or DDO. This happens when the coin die is hubbed more than once at a slightly different angle, leaving a ghost-like second image on the finished coin. You will spot the doubling most clearly on the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. Circulated examples of the DDO error typically sell for $50 to $100, but in higher grades, they can bring in significantly more. Then there is the double die reverse error, or DDR, which shows similar doubling on the eagle and the lettering on the back of the coin. And let's not forget about die cracks. As mint dies wear out, they can develop tiny cracks that transfer raised lines onto the coins they strike. Some collectors seek out these die cracks as unique varieties, adding to the coin's character and value. But these are just the appetizers. The main course is something far more dramatic. Picture this, a 1985 D quarter that was accidentally struck on a silver dime planchet. Yes, you heard that right. The most legendary example of this error is a quarter that was struck on a 1964 silver dime planchet. Imagine holding a quarter that has the weight and feel of pure silver, a coin that should never have existed. Wrong planchet errors occur when a blank meant for one denomination is accidentally fed into the press for another. In this case, the quarter dies stamped a design onto a planchet that was too small and too light, but made of 90% silver. The result is a coin that is immediately obvious to anyone who holds it, a coin that is wrong in every way, but absolutely perfect to collectors. While a specific 1985 D quarter struck on a silver dime planchet hasn't been widely documented in recent auctions, similar off-metal errors, like quarters struck on dime stock, can easily fetch anywhere from $500 to $15,000 or more. And transitional off-metal errors from other years have sold for over $9,000. This is the kind of coin that could be hiding in a roll of quarters from the bank, waiting for someone with a keen eye to discover it. So how do you spot these treasures? How do you separate a 25-cent coin from a $1,000 windfall? First, you need to check the weight and the sound. A standard 1985 D quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If your coin feels heavier or lighter. If it has a different color or a distinct ringing sound when dropped on a table, you might have a wrong planchet error. Next, grab a magnifying glass and examine the obverse. Look closely at the letters in God We Trust and Liberty. Do you see any doubling, any ghostly shadows? That could be the DDO error. Check the mint mark. Is the D clearly defined, or does it look like it was stamped twice? That could be a repunched mint mark error. Look at the edges. Are they perfectly round, or is part of the design missing? That could be an off-center strike, with values potentially reaching over $100 depending on how far off-center the strike is. And if you see a coin that is missing its clad layer, revealing a copper core underneath, you could be looking at a valuable missing clad layer error. Most people never notice these details. Most people spend these coins without a second thought, but you are not most people. You are now armed with the knowledge to spot a fortune in your pocket change. But here is a word of warning. The world of error coins is also filled with pitfalls. Not every imperfection is a mint error. Many coins show signs of die deterioration doubling, which is caused by worn dies and does not add any premium to the coin's value. Scratches, dents, and other forms of post-mint damage can easily be mistaken for errors if you are not careful. And with the rise in coin values, counterfeiters have become more sophisticated. Some unscrupulous individuals try to alter mint marks or create fake errors to deceive unsuspecting buyers. That is why it is absolutely critical to have any potential error coin authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you think you have found a valuable 1985 D quarter, do not clean it, do not polish it, do not try to remove any tarnish. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value in an instant. Handle it only by the edges, place it in a protective holder, and send it to a reputable grading company. The cost of grading is a small price to pay for the peace of mind and the potential payoff. Now let's talk about the collector demand. The market for Washington quarters is incredibly strong. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-grade examples and dramatic errors. The 1985 D quarter, being a common date, becomes a true rarity in the highest grades because it is so difficult to find one that survived circulation without any marks or wear. The population reports from PCGS show that very few of these coins have achieved the top grades, which is why an MS67 Plus example can command such a high premium. And the demand for error coins is even more fervent. Collectors love the story behind a mint mistake, the idea that a coin escaped the mint against all odds. When a 1985 D quarter is struck on a silver planchet, it tells a story of a moment in time when the minting process went haywire, creating a unique piece of American history. That story is what drives the value. That story is why someone paid over $3,000 for a quarter, and why someone else might pay $10,000 or more for the right error. But here is the thing, you don't need to be a professional numismatist to find these coins. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars at coin shows. The 1985 D Washington quarter is out there, in circulation, right now. It is in the change you got from the grocery store. It is in the coin jar on your dresser. It is in the rolls of quarters you picked up from the bank. Every single one of those 500 million coins minted in Denver in 1985 is a potential treasure. And now you know exactly what to look for. You know about the double dies, the off-center strikes, the wrong planchets. You know that the difference between a quarter and $1,000 payday is just a few millimeters of doubling on a letter or a slight deviation in weight. This is not just a story about a coin. This is a story about awareness, about the thrill of the hunt, about the possibility that fortune is closer than you think. So here is the million-dollar question. What is the highest known value of a 1985 D Washington quarter? Well, we have seen a regular strike in MS67 Plus sell for over $3,377. That is an incredible return on a 25-cent investment. But remember, that is just the tip of the iceberg. The real holy grail is the wrong planchet error, the coin that was struck on silver. While a 1985 D quarter on a silver planchet hasn't been publicly documented in recent major auctions, the precedent is there. A 1977 D quarter struck on a silver planchet is known to be worth over $9,000. A 1983 quarter overstruck on an amusement token sold for over $15,000. And off-metal errors, in general, can command anywhere from $500 to $15,000 or more. So if you are holding a 1985 D quarter that looks a little off, that feels a little different, that seems to have a silver sheen to it, you could be holding a coin worth $10,000, $20,000, or even more. The potential is there. The possibility is real. Now I want you to do something for me. I want you to pause this video, go grab that jar of loose change and start looking. Check the dates. Look for the D mint mark. Examine the letters for doubling. Feel the weight. Listen to the sound. You might just find a coin that changes your life. And if you do find something, if you think you have a valuable 1985 D quarter, do not hesitate to reach out to a professional. Get it authenticated. Get it graded. And then, who knows, maybe you will be the one telling this story to your friends and family. The 1985 D Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It is a reminder that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. It is a testament to the fact that knowledge is power, and that sometimes the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. But wait, before you go, I have to tell you about another coin that could be hiding in your pocket, a coin that shares a similar story, but with an even more shocking twist. Imagine a coin that was never supposed to exist, a coin that was struck on the wrong metal, with a design that is completely unique. If you thought the 1985 D quarter was exciting, wait until you hear about the 1983 quarter that was struck on a dime planchet, a coin that has sold for thousands of dollars because of its incredible rarity. The story of that coin is filled with even more mystery, even more suspense, and a value that might just leave you speechless. We are going to uncover the secrets of that legendary era coin. You do not want to miss it. For now, happy hunting, and remember, the next coin you pick up could be your ticket to a fortune. Next up. Imagine standing at a coin show, watching a collector pull a single quarter from their pocket. Nothing special at first glance, just a 1987 Washington quarter. They casually hand it to a dealer who freezes mid-sentence, eyes widening behind their glasses. Their hands tremble as they reach for a magnifying glass. "Where did you get this?" they whisper. The collector shrugs. "Pocket change from the gas station." That moment, that one electric second where ordinary becomes extraordinary, is what this video is all about. Because buried in jars, forgotten in drawers, scattered in pocket change across America, there are 1987 quarters that could be worth a fortune. And I'm going to show you exactly how to find them. Let's start with the basics, because even the most valuable treasures have humble beginnings. The 1987 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with over 582 million of them produced. That's right, more than 500 million coins. By sheer numbers alone, most are worth exactly 25 cents. But here's where things get interesting. Every single one of those 582 million coins started as a blank planchet, a disc of copper-nickel-clad composition weighing 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, wrapped around a pure copper core. That's the standard composition for every circulating quarter since 1965. No silver. But don't click away yet, because the absence of silver is exactly what makes the eras so valuable. Now let me paint you a picture of this coin's design. On the obverse, you'll see John Flanagan's iconic portrait of George Washington facing left. Above him arcs the word liberty, and to his left, the motto "In God We Trust." The date 1987 sits at the bottom. Look closely to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. That's where you'll find the tiny P mint mark. Flip the coin over, and the reverse reveals a majestic eagle with wings fully extended, clutching a bundle of arrows. Above the eagle, United States of America, below $quarter. An olive branch sits between the eagle and the denomination. It's a classic design, one Americans have seen millions of times, but hidden within that familiar design are clues that could mean thousands of dollars. Most people never notice this, but the 1987 quarter has some of the most exciting era varieties in modern numismatics. The crown jewel is the double die obverse, or DDO for short. This era happened during the hub-to-die transfer process at the Philadelphia Mint. A misalignment caused a second impression to land slightly offset from the first. The result is a visible doubling effect on the front of the coin. We're talking about text that looks like it has a ghost image, a shadowy second set of letters that makes liberty and "In God We Trust" appear almost blurry. Lightly doubled examples in circulated condition typically fetch $10 to $50. But if the doubling is strong and the coin grades MS65 or higher, those have sold for $150 to $300 or more. What happened next shocked collectors even more. The off-center strike errors from 1987 are absolutely breathtaking. When a coin blank slips out of position before the dies strike, you get a dramatic misalignment. Washington's portrait shifts dramatically to one side, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on the opposite edge. A modest 10% off-center example starts around $20 to $40. But jump to 50% or more off-center while still showing the full date, and you're looking at $150 to $500+. $1 exceptional example with a 60% plus shift sold for over $800 at a specialty auction. But that's just the beginning. Here's where the value really explodes. We're talking about era coins that make collectors lose their minds. The broad-struck eras, where the coin is struck without a collar to hold it in place, create coins that are wider than normal. A 1987 P-quarter struck on a dime planchet weighs just 2.3 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams. That wrong planchet era sold for $253. And there are whispers of even more dramatic eras out there. Coins that escaped the mint with mistakes, so rare that they command thousands. Let me tell you about the auction records, because this is where reality gets stranger than fiction. A pristine 1987 P Washington quarter graded MS-67 sold for $646 at Heritage Auctions on January 4, 2017. Another MS-67 example sold for $552 on February 26, 2018. In June 2019, one brought $312. More recently, in April 2023, an MS-67 sold for $216. And just this year, on February 8, 2026, a PCGS MS-67 from the Alexandria Registry set sold for, well, let's just say the bidding was intense. The NGC price guide shows that circulated examples are worth between 30 cents and 85 cents. But pristine, uncirculated 1987 P quarters can sell for as much as $420. And the graysheet wholesale bid for problem-free NGC or PCGS MS-67 examples is $620. Do you see the pattern? The difference between a pocket change quarter and a collector's dream is just a few points on the grading scale. But here's the secret that most people never learn. The value isn't just in the grade, it's in the eras, the varieties, the tiny details that most people overlook. Take the mint mark location, for example. That tiny P to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. Most people never even notice it exists. But if you find a 1987 P quarter with an S mint mark, that's a San Francisco proof coin, you could be holding something entirely different. Proof coins from 1987 S can be worth $4 to $27, with some reaching $236. And then there are the die cracks, the strike-through errors, the clipped planchets that create coins with missing sections. Each one tells a story of the minting process, of the millions of coins that passed through the presses, of the few that emerged imperfect and therefore priceless. Now let's talk about the million-dollar question. The reality is that a standard 1987 P quarter in typical circulated condition is worth exactly face value 25 cents. But the errors, the varieties, the coins that slip through quality control, those can be worth anywhere from $50 to over $2,000. Some of the most dramatic errors, with strong doubling or significant off-center strikes, can command four figures. And the absolute finest examples, the MS-67 and MS-68 coins with perfect surfaces and full luster, those are the ones that make collectors reach for their wallets. The highest known value for a 1987 P quarter currently sits at that $646 auction record. But remember, the coin market is always changing. A new discovery, a previously unknown era variety, could shatter that record at any moment. This tiny detail could change everything. When you look at your 1987 P quarter, grab a magnifying glass, check the word Liberty for doubling, examine the date. Does 1987 look like it has a shadow or ghost image? Look at the edge of the coin. Is it perfectly round, or does it have a flat spot? Where your coin, a standard 1987 P quarter, weighs 5.67 grams. If it weighs less, you might have a wrong planchet error. If it weighs more, you might have a silver planchet error, though those are extremely rare for 1987. Check the mint mark. Is it a clear P, or is there something unusual about it? Every single one of these details could be the difference between pocket change and a payday. The value may leave you speechless. Collectors search for these coins with the passion of treasure hunters. They spend hours searching through bank rolls, examining every quarter with microscopic attention. The thrill of discovery, that moment when you spot doubling or an off-center strike, is what drives the hobby, and the demand is only growing. As more people learn about these eras, the competition for high-grade examples intensifies. The coins that were once overlooked, are now being pulled from circulation and sent to grading services like PCGS and NGC. Every day, someone finds a valuable 1987 P quarter in their pocket change. Every day, someone discovers that the coin they almost spent is worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. So here's my challenge to you. Right after this video ends, go check your pockets. Empty that coin jar. Look through your old collections, your inherited coin albums, your bank rolls, your piggy banks. Search every 1987 P quarter you can find. Look for doubling. Look for off-center strikes. Check the weight. Examine the mint mark. You might be holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and if you find one, get it graded. That's the key to unlocking its true value. Because in the world of coin collecting, a certified coin is a verified treasure. Wait, before you go, remember this. The 1987 P quarter is just one chapter in the incredible story of American coinage. There are other dates, other mint marks, other eras waiting to be discovered. Every coin in your pocket could be a piece of history. Every quarter could be a hidden fortune. And the next coin I'm about to show you, it makes the 1987 P quarter look like small change, because some coins aren't worth hundreds, they're worth tens of thousands. Some are worth 100,000, and a few, a rare few, are worth $1 million.